Welcome to Face to Face. This is a show about change and what's next. It's a show that asks questions and peels back the layers of our average everyday experience and goes beyond scratching the surface. We interview people doing incredible things who are making a difference around the globe. Join me as we listen in and get one step closer to understanding that big ideas shared create collaboration. Collaboration can inspire community, and communities create social change. I'm David Peck, and this is Face to Face. So my next interview is with RJ Cutler, and we talk about the new Apple TV Plus film, Billie Eilish, The World's a Little Blurry. I'm not that familiar with Billie's music, but I am now, and I'm looking forward to diving in a little more for sure. RJ and I had a limited amount of time. He was a busy guy the day that we had an opportunity to chat. I'm looking forward to meeting him down the road when we get to do film festivals face to face again. But The World's a Little Blurry. This is a film, this is a family film, as RJ says in the interview. And we really focus on this idea in my mind of community, and the community as the family, and what Billie is to not only to herself, but to those around her, to Phineas, her, writer and her producer and her partner and her brother and her friend. We talk about empathy a great deal. We talk a little bit about Beatlemania and how crazy the world is around Billie. I love the fact that Justin Bieber comes up in a variety of ways, not only in the interview, but in the film. Orlando Bloom makes an appearance, as does Katy Perry. But this is a film, too, about, I believe it's about healing through storytelling. And then RJ and I talk a little bit about that. And he talks about the truth of Billie and her family, and the truth of storytelling as a filmmaker, as a documentarian. We get into authenticity and opportunity, and what does RJ say? It's a riddle within a riddle within a riddle. And I so love that. And so I hope you enjoy the interview. I think you will. But more importantly, check out the film, Apple TV Plus, Billie Eilish, The World's a Little Blurry. And, that really appeals to me as the philosopher, as the conversationalist, as the relational guy. I mean, we are paradox. We are contradiction. We are a bundle of complexity, it seems to me. And Billie is working things out in a way through her music and her writing and her performance, and she really seems to connect beautifully with her fans. So check it out, check the film out, and we will be getting back to you shortly. I think our next interview is Palmer, coming up in the not so distant future. Fisher Stevens' new film Palmer, also I believe an Apple film. And don't forget face2facelive.ca for more information about my writing. davidpecklive.com. You can find out more there about who I am and what I do as a speaker. You get a copy of Real Change is Incremental. You can sign up for our Patreon page too. We really appreciate that. We're going to start pushing that a little bit more. Like us on YouTube, please. That'd be awesome. Trying to get to well over 1,000 viewers. Pretty hilarious when you look at what does Billie have on her Instagram feed. I think it's about 75 million followers. So there you go. Got a little while before I catch up with her. And a review on iTunes would be brilliant. So please do that. We're always looking for folks to socially mediate us. Sign up for the newsletter. And don't go away. Coming right up, RJ Cutler talking about Billie Eilish, The World's a Little Blurry. Well, welcome to Face to Face. We're joined by a very special guest here with us today. We have RJ Cutler, award-winning filmmaker, documentarian, storyteller, artist. Can we get a shot of your business card, RJ? Is that a possibility? Anyway, sure. I wanted to say thank you for joining me here today on Face to Face.
My great pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So just how blurry is the world?
Exactly as blurry as you see in our film, which is, it's as Maggie says, it's a tough time to be a teenager.
It's a tough time to be a teenager. So the film is The World's a Little Blurry. Billie Eilish, worldwide release. You can see it on Apple TV Plus. So I'm wondering what you learn as a filmmaker. I sort of tried to put this not into a box, RJ, but is it a road movie?
It's a movie about somebody who spends a lot of time on the road, but it's not a road movie. A road movie you'd would take place entirely on the road. There's a home here, and part of the reason why we underscore the fact that Billie spends so much time away from home is because she spends so much time away from home. It's one of the burdens that she bears. You enter this when you're a successful pop star, you kind of you launch off into this kind of in this bubble, and every day is this weird kind of thing, from bus to green room to stage to green room to bus. Maybe there's a hotel in there, but that's it. And if you're as successful as Billie is, your ability to interact with the world outside of social media is incredibly limited. You see in this film, it's the footage, we refer to the footage as Beatlemania, because it's
Right.
kind of what it was like for the mop top lads in the early days. It's crazy. It's like everywhere she goes, there are hordes of people who swarm the streets, and that limits her ability to. That's one of the many, many, many things that limits her ability to live the life of a normal kid. Of course, there's enormous upsides to it, but you see the whole complicated equation in this film. And so rather than a road film, I would say it's a family film, because it is a movie about a young woman coming of age, both as an artist who belongs to the world, but as a person who belongs to a family. And she's every bit as much the teenager as you and I
That's
were,
right.
I dare say.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that you call it a family film. That's so awesome. It's really it's a beautiful thing to see the dynamic, to see how involved they are, but I think involved in a good way, or at least so it seems, in a positive way, in a meaningful way.
They're very committed, her parents, and it's a big part of what allows her to be who she is. Again, it doesn't mean that she doesn't feel the full weight of the burdens. Billie's a young woman who's, very, very sensitive to the pain of the world, and to her own pain, even as she's very capable of embracing and celebrating the joys of the world and her own joys.
How
She's
well
an
did you get
empathic person.
how well did you get to know her?
What's your scale? I
Right.
mean, I made this movie. I spent a year with her everywhere she went, not every day, but for a long time. And she is everything as advertised, and forget the advertisement. She's everything as we reveal it in the film.
Yeah, did you just say she's a very empathetic person?
She is as empathic a person as I've ever met.
Yeah, wow.
And this is reflected in her work. To me, the reason her work touches such a deep chord in audiences around the globe. I mean, you're talking about somebody who 2 years after the release of her album still has the number one album on the Apple Music Store, and her EP that was released 2 years before that just re-entered the top 10 this weekend. Now people are watching a movie and they want to download the music, but still, this is a person whose music has been streamed billions and billions and billions of times. She has
Remarkable.
touched a chord, and I think the reason she touches a chord so deeply is because of her great empathy and her commitment to the truth. And in times like this, empathy and truth, look, you asked me before this, was there anything I didn't want to talk about in this podcast, and I referenced the last American president, but that beast and his followers are those who assert that empathy and truth are not important in human interaction. And it's why America and the world suffered through so many indignities the last several years, and why this global pandemic is it is spread in our country to the degree that it did. And the whole world could use a little more empathy and a little more truth. And Billie's here to do, it's not, her motivation isn't political. Her motivation is artistic and musical, but I think it strikes a chord.
Empathy. So you're a storyteller. You've been a storyteller all your life. Is that your job as an artist? Richard Wagame's Canadian Indigenous writer said stories are meant to heal. Is that kind of what we're about here with this story? The world's a little blurry, or is that through her music you find healing? I love how Billie says at one point, she's talking to her mom and she says, "Oh, I'm broken. I'm always going to be broken. I'll never totally heal." Right? And isn't that kind of true about us all?
Oh, as I say, I think she's a remarkably empathic figure, and it's on that level that she connects with her audience and also resonates to a larger audience. You ask if my goal is to heal through storytelling. My goal is to see things as clearly as possible, and certainly truth is a value that's very important to me in my work, and especially so when I have a subject. Well, look, when I'm making a film, my subjects are trusting me, and what they're fundamentally trusting me to do is tell the truth. So there you go.
There's a real, it seems to me, there's a real authenticity and transparency, and this would totally connect to that idea of trust and empathy and the community that you must have developed with the team and backstage, and I love that moment where she meets Justin Bieber. I'm not sure where it is, but it's sort of front of stage, I think, and she won't go and hug him, but then she does. I mean, it's just such a beautiful moment, and you chose to really hang on that. Is that also the family like nature of this story?
Well, there are family elements in the Justin story, but to me, the Justin story is about a young woman who felt a calling. But it's also about the way
Right.
she connects with her following. She, from a very young age, Billie felt called to by Justin Bieber, who is a kind of, deity figure.
Right.
And in our narrative, because this is what happened, Billie emerges on the world stage at Coachella, and the very next thing that happens really is that Justin Bieber appears and embraces her. This deity kind of comes down from the heavens.
Right.
But then when she herself rises to this level of superstardom on Grammy night, it's Justin who reaches out to her and says, one day I want to be like you.
Right.
And
Yes.
that's the full journey that she takes. Of course, as family, it's significant because her folks, Maggie tells a very moving and funny story about how they would, they spent their Christmas days watching Justin's. They went to the theater because his movie opened on Christmas, and they would watch him in the theater together. And Billie was so in love with him that Maggie considered taking her to a therapist. I mean, it puts you in the mind of people who feel touched by an otherworldly spirit. And I think to some degree you can understand Billie Eilish in that way.
So you mentioned it earlier, and I'm a big U2 fan, and I know that Bono on his 60th birthday wrote 60 letters, and he wrote one to Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
About do you think is it the music, is it the lyrics, is it her, what the resonance that people are feeling? 21 million views, I think I read, or listens a month, to your point, billions of listens.
Did you say 21 million listens a month?
Something like that.
Dude, I think that number's incredibly low.
Is that right? Yeah.
20. I think someone should look it up. I don't.
Yeah, totally.
But I would be surprised if it's not 21 million a week or a day. How many? Here, I'm going to Google while we're talking.
Good, nice. Yeah, I committed to the truth. I like it. I can tell you're a documentarian. This is all investigative journalist. Yeah. It's I just that resonance. And I don't want to call it teenage angst because I don't get that from her. There's this sense of poetry, and her desire to speak is just so strong. And I've always been fascinated by that community that musicians and artists can create from the stage. But she's clearly doing it more than just through the stage.
Well, she has this a following of 76.5 million people on Instagram. You see in the film how one afternoon she just turns on the Insta Live and does a 10-minute unannounced appearance in the middle of the afternoon with her pet spider, and 300,000 people tune in. You know, cable TV in the States would love that number.
Yeah.
And they'd never get it in the demo, that's for sure. I'm showing here 15 billion streams of her music. So somebody would have to do the math, but
Wow, that's not going to be me. That's not going to be me.
15 billion is a pretty
wow,
pretty big number.
Astounding.
Yeah.
You know, I love, and I hope you're okay with this, but I love, you know, so you've humanized her even more so, I think, in a sense, if that makes sense, by going backstage in this way with her and going on tour with her. But I love how you captured the post Grammy session about, you know, recorded in the bedroom, mixed in the garage. You can do anything. I mean, that for me, RJ, is kind of one of the main sort of messages for the film. I mean, isn't that a message we all kind of need to hear today?
But I'm not, you know, I shy away from yes, the answer is yes. That's a good you can do anything. Sure. But I'm not message oriented, so that's why I'm having a hard time. I'm not out to. I don't. It's just not on my radar.
Right. There's no subtext.
That's what she said after the Grammys, because that's the truth. That's who she is.
Yeah.
There wasn't going to be anything that was going to stop them, and in fact, that which might have stopped them, lack of access to expensive equipment, they saw as an advantage. They saw as an opportunity. They saw as a way to be authentic.
I love again, the authenticity and the access. I think that's so important. For me, it was anyway. Probably my favorite line is, "I have no pants." Yeah, but it's Justin Bieber. It's got to be one of my favorite lines in the whole film. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful moment. And the fact that she doesn't recognize Bloom is hysterical. You guys must have had a great time making this movie.
We by and large we had a great time. It was getting to know Billie, getting to know her family, getting to know her team, getting to know her fans was a life enriching experience for sure.
How can I go a little? I know we're probably wrapping up in a few minutes, but can I go a little philosophical? How does one become so deeply existentially driven, it seems to me, at such a young age? What is it that's driving that? Is that just some kind of, I don't know. I don't know I don't know a ton about your background, but usually it's experience that drives that kind of writing, right? And at such a young age to be able to draw, it's remarkable from a lyrical perspective.
Yeah, I think that she's a prodigy. You know, some of our great artists start young and reach a level of maturity at a young age, and then different things happen. Some of them stay around their whole, you know, for decades producing at the same level. People, you know, careers, artwork takes different shapes. And this is a movie about the prodigy Billie Eilish at the beginning of her career, in the first years of her career, of her life as a public figure, indeed as a figure who belongs to the world. And it tells that story. It doesn't tell the future, because the future can't be told. But it does certainly appreciate the presence, and it appreciates the present in the context of all of its conflicts and contradictions and opportunities and burdens, because Billie was available to tell the truth in this movie, and fortunately we we got together at the right time to do it. So it's a great gift to me, and an honor, and a great pleasure. And I love this movie, and I'm so gratified by the response we're getting. So
Amazing.
it's all good.
You're knocking it out of the park on a variety of levels. BBC moving, revealing portrait of a young vulnerable woman. I mean, that's wonderful stuff. I mean, I don't know how much value you put on Tomatoes meter, but it's pretty through the roof right now, it seems to me. So congrats on that. That's a remarkable thing. Hey, what drove you as a teenager to push you into the kind of storytelling that you're doing?
I was pushed. My passion when I was growing up was theater. I loved putting on plays. So I guess what drove me was putting on a show, gathering people together and working with a team of collaborators, and then presenting to an audience. And nothing was more thrilling to me. I love to direct a play, and I love when the lights faded in, and I love when the lights faded out. And I guess on some important level, I still do.
I've spent a bit of time on stage, and I find as I get older, I actually appreciate being backstage more, seeing the tapestry of it, the work behind the work, if you know what I mean. Would you say you get more pleasure out of that, seeing the pieces come together, rather than actually sitting in the audience seeing the finished product?
No. I mean, it all has its enormous virtues, but
sure.
And also you grow a lot from all of it. But making these films is, it's some days it's the full range. Some days there's great joy, but a lot of days, it's painful, and it's hard work. It's creating art. You have the great privilege of working with real life and with the raw material of other people's lives, and you have the great privilege of their trust, but you're still involved in a creative artistic enterprise. And you'll never hear me complain about it, but you will definitely see days where I'm chewing my nails a lot more than other days, or worried if we're ever going to figure it out. It's a riddle upon a riddle upon a riddle with these films. And then you also, this one's a musical, so it's not just a movie. It's a musical too. So, but it's a great thrill, and there's no greater thrill than when you present it to an audience, because that's the completion.
Well, RJ, it's a beautiful film. Billie Eilish, The World's a Little Blurry, available on Apple TV Plus. It's congratulations, and I hope you enjoy all of this. All this applause you hear is for you, and thank you for introducing me to her work. But I love that you've shown us this world, this young artist who is empathetic, who wants to be truthful, who wants to be authentic. And wow, the world needs an authentic storyteller. We need more authentic storytellers like her and like you. So thanks again for your time today, and for joining me here on Face to Face. It's been a real pleasure, man.
The pleasure is mutual, David, and thank you for all the things you've said about the film. I really, really appreciate it, and I'm excited for your audience to see it.
If you feel a tap on your shoulder at a film festival in a not so distant future, it just might be me, RJ.
Well, I look forward to film festivals coming back. That will be a great day. And please do come say hello. I look forward to meeting you in person.
Awesome. Thanks for your time.
All right, my friend.